start in just a minute. If you can please find your seats, feel free to grab whatever you'd like to eat and to drink. You can also continue to eat and drink during the presentations, but please go grab whatever you'd like right now. And as people take their seats, we'll get started in just a minute. All right. We're going to get started. If you'd like to sit down, great. If not, it's cool. But if you're going to have a conversation, please go out into the other room to continue. Hope you had some great networking, and we'll be able to network at the end and at the after party, but we'll start to get things started. So, welcome to New Tech Seattle! Crowd's a little lighter than usual. Apparently somebody named Messier is in town. Who knows who Messier is? I just learned, so we're all new. See, the reason we're all here is because we don't know who Messier is. Apparently he's like the Pele of soccer these days. Is that correct? He's like incredibly famous football player who's playing next door, which is why traffic has been how it is and parking has been how it is. Someone told me they actually took them 45 minutes extra to get here, and they gave up, parked their car, and took light rail. That's commitment. So we could learn from people like that. So I'm Brett Green. Welcome. We're glad that you're here tonight. And here are some of the volunteers and other people on our team who help make all of this possible. So we always want to thank them for making it happen. And these are the sponsors that make this all work. Without the sponsors, none of this happens. So we want to thank them and invite a couple of them to come up for a minute each to share a little bit about what they're doing. Sponsors, by the way, for New Tech, in a minute we'll talk about what New Tech is. How many people have never been here before? Okay. So if you haven't been here before, what we're about is creating community. And the event is where the community comes together to help each other. People are here to listen to what you're up to and see if they've got resources to share. And that's what the event is for, is you should walk out of here with a couple of great connections and hopefully learn some cool things and get inspired while you're here. We'll talk a little more about that in just a minute, but the sponsors are people who care about the community. These are people who care about Seattle, they care about the tech community, they care about growing what's happening, and that is a really core value to what we do. I just want to say that because it's more than just the financial support they give us. They actually do more in the community to make things happen. First off, we're here at Galvanized. Who's been to Galvanized before? A lot of people have been to Galvanized. Good. So I guess we don't need to talk about Galvanized then, right? Like everybody already knows? Oh, okay. I guess we do. Riley, get it. Dude, you got to come up front. If you're a sponsor, please come up front. So we need to keep it fast and fun. That's what it's about. So, ladies and gentlemen, Riley will tell you a little bit about Galvanized.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Brett. So Galvanize is a dynamic learning community for technology. So what does that mean? We have immersive data science and web development classes. Right now, our data science classes have a 100% placement rate with an average starting salary of $114,000, if that tells you kind of how serious that is. We're a shared workspace, so in this 70,000 square foot building, we have 85 companies made up of about 250 people that are founders, startups, enterprise companies, all working together. And there's also an entrepreneurship program. So that is workshops, networking events, study halls, all kinds of stuff going on every week for all of those people to collaborate and innovate together. So if you're interested in the courses, in office space, in getting involved in the Galvanized community, I'll be back at the table back there with Taylor, with the long-haired guy, and sorry for not being as exciting as Lee usually is if you've been before, but thank you guys.
Lee does cartwheels. So if you haven't seen Lee, that's his point with Lee. So if our friends from Hired can come up, you'll never guess what Hired does. You guys make comic books, right?
Thanks, Brett. Hey guys, thanks for coming out today. We're Hired, if you can tell. Start out with a quick show of hands. How many of you guys have applied for jobs before online? So a lot of people. And how many of you guys have tried to hire people online? Also quite a few people. So that process usually can be improved. So that's why we kind of came up with this idea. What we are is a dual-sided marketplace to help kind of match quality candidates with quality companies and vice versa. We're in 14 different markets. We've been in Seattle for a year and a half, so we're really excited to support the tech community and be here. And we've got some water bottles to throw at you. So raise your hands if you want a water bottle. Yeah,
If
make
you're
sure you
new,
can catch.
we like to throw things at the audience.
Yeah. Oh.
That's a good shot.
Yes. Yeah.
I think Hired is going to buy you a drink, sir.
Yeah. We have drink tickets for you.
Wait,
Sorry.
can you give that guy a job for that?
Usually we throw T-shirts, which are softer. That was awesome. But yeah, come by if you're interested. Learn more about us. We're happy to talk. We're right here up front, and we have beer koozies and some other things too. So
Free stuff. Thank you. Dean? So League is doing something very different and cool with healthcare, and Dean has a cool offer for you and your company.
Thank you very much. So who here loves health insurance? You guys love your health insurance? Come on, you don't love your health insurance? You're all just like, so we are
Who loves paying for their health insurance?
Yeah, you like paying for your health insurance? We are disrupting health insurance. Has anybody in here closed a round in the last 6 months to a year? Raise your hand. Anybody? Yeah, funding round. So give him some champagne, please. We just closed $25 million, purely Canadian backed. We're excited, led by Omer's Ventures. We are disrupting health insurance. So we launched an HSA in Canada about 4 weeks ago. We are launching an HSA with Group here later this year. We're looking for partners that want to work with us, and then we can help your companies manage wellness dollars. So really drive those benefits to health and wellness and help get your employees fitter, get their mental well-being taken care of, and hopefully help your businesses make money. So I've got a ton of little alcohol in here because I'm celebrating today. So if you want some liquor and champagne, raise your hand. India,
Who
who's a great
believes
networker,
that
is gonna
liquor
help.
helps their health?
Yes, so I'm not going to throw it, but there you go.
So, Dean, the offer.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Forgot about the offer. I was like, alcohol. Anybody that is interested in a complimentary wellness day to have a conversation with me, no strings attached, come find me in the back, and let's get on the calendar in the next couple of weeks.
Wait, say really quickly, what does that mean, a free wellness
So that
day?
could be anything from massage to bringing some chiropractors in to deal with musculoskeletal pain. It could be a talk on nutrition, a naturopath physician to come in, talk about blood lab testing. We can design it with you. Better?
Okay.
Is that
Cool.
better?
Thank you.
Was that upbeat enough?
That does.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, who likes food? You'll like cater to me.
Hey guys, I see a few people out here like to eat food, just myself as well. Hi, I'm with Cater to Me. We provide office teams their lunches, breakfasts, dinners, one-off events. So if you're looking for some great food, healthy alternatives, and for a limited time only, we're doing 20% off first orders, and also we're doing a drawing for an office team for a lunch. So come back here and put your card in there, and the lovely Erin's going to throw some candy out to the crowd. Thanks, guys.
I don't know if you've ever heard this before. There's an interesting phenomenon. A couple of years ago, there was a study that found that when they were introducing all of the healthy meals to the fast food, like McDonald's and Burger King and all that, I don't know exactly how they did the survey, but it turned out that a large majority of people actually started buying things like Big Macs. Big Mac sales went up when they put salads on the menu, and they couldn't figure it out. And what they figured out what happened is when you stand in line, and you're going to laugh if you've ever done this, because I know I've done it before myself. You look up at the menu, and you're looking, oh, look at all those healthy choices, and oh, those are low calorie, and that'd be really good. Yeah, I should get that. And unconsciously, you think you just did a good thing, and you deserve a reward. And so you get to the cash register, and you go, I really thought about that salad. It looked really good. So I want 2 Big Macs. That's absolutely true, which is a weird thing. So has anybody seen a camel spit? No? Okay, me neither, but they're known for that. So Kevin from Vox's PR is he's going to mime, so he's not feeling well, and he's either a germaphobe or he's a really wonderful person that cares about the community because he doesn't even want to hold the mic because he might have germs, and it doesn't feel good. So in a nutshell, for me, we had a PR firm approach us a couple years ago that's internationally known and very well known, and said, oh, we love what you guys are doing. We really want to get the word out. We really want to do something with you. And I said, great, that's wonderful. A year later, zip. These guys came to me similar in, I don't know, like December or something. We sat down and had a 1-hour meeting, laid out the whole year. More stuff happened in January than it happened in the year before. And in the last 6 months, I think they've gotten me 7 or 8, amazing opportunities. What I love about you guys is that you're local, you're boutique, but I've honestly had 5-star quality service from your people and couldn't believe the way they helped me before I did interviews with people and things like that. And you guys rock and you're amazing. So is there anything else I should say on your behalf?
Folks can sign up for a free hour of consulting if they want to over at our table.
Okay, free hour of consulting at their table over there. The people with the big wheels. Who likes big wheels? Wow. You know what? I'm dating myself because I think a lot of people in the audience don't even know what a big wheel is. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, so if you need PR, Voxus is amazing. And finally, our partner, Culture Foundry, is going to talk briefly. And Hans, you're going to be speedy, right? You're going to be fun? You're going to make them laugh?
I promise to be speedy.
Okay, it's important because we need to get on to the rest of the show. Okay.
Understood. Let's see how fast I can talk. I will need the clicker, though. Okay. So we come up here to share something cool that we might have participated in or built or learned as a Seattle digital agency. We were founded in Seattle. We're headquartered in Seattle. We partner with New Tech because they're part of the fabric of Seattle. And we've got something to show off that falls into that same category. These are some of our clients. Those were some of our clients. Is that fast enough for you? Thank you. So but I'm going to say a couple words about our philosophy of projects, and then we're going to show off something that everyone here can go home and check out live online tonight that we hope you'll find super interesting. Our philosophy of projects, the words used are often, we come here to add value. Like, we've come in here to sprinkle magic value dust over everything, and if we weren't here as a digital agency, there'd be nothing there. We don't think that's the way to think about it. We think the way to think about it is unlocking value in what's already there and getting rid of obstacles so that whatever you do with your offering like New Tech Seattle, we just get out of the way. And what we'd like to show off today is something else that is also the fabric of Seattle, which is Seattle Weekly, which has been part of the fabric of Seattle for 40 years. And so I'm going to unlock value by getting out of the way and introducing you to Mark Baumgarten, who is editor-in-chief, and is going to walk you through some of the stories that this new platform helps to better tell. So Mark, take it away.
Thanks, Hans. Hey, everybody, I'm Mark. I'm as Hans said, the editor-in-chief over at Seattle Weekly. So for 40 years, we have been telling stories about the city, bringing the stories of the city and the people that live them to life. And for the last 3 years, I've been the editor there, and we've been doing it through a really horrible website. And so we teamed up with Culture Foundry and built a new website. And what I want to talk to you guys about is, my focus was I wanted it to really be clean and for it to be kind to the end user and to not make you want to throw your device across the room. But my real goal was to make it accessible and pleasant and fun for another type of user, and that is for our content creators, which we call journalists, and to actually make them, to create an experience, create a site that says, feed me instead of don't touch me. Our old site said, don't touch me. I think that you've seen other sites like that. Most media sites are so larded up with information that they just say, don't touch me. So you can see here, this is the home page, nice big beautiful photo, latest stories. This is everything that we got to offer. And then here's a little bit of our history. One of the things that Hans did is that, or Culture Foundry did, is that they created programmatic story pages so that we get different looks. If we have a smaller image, we get this inset here. Larger image, who knows what Dwarf Fortress is? Anybody play Dwarf Fortress out there? Do you actually play it or just know what it is? Okay. So we did a big feature on Dwarf Fortress last week, and this is the story page. You should go read it. But then we get this, a nice big display, full screen splash. And then we have this in between if we have a mid-sized screen. So I wanted to bring up this story because this is the way that our site works now. This is what it does to my team, is that it used to be that we would be working on a story. We're print legacy media, and we are always working on long-form stories, muckraking, finding something that people don't know about. We're pulling string on a story, news breaks, that story is all of a sudden out in the public. In this case, we're pulling string on a $150,000 fine levied by the state against Anheuser-Busch for monopolistic practices. And it breaks on Washington Beer Blog, which just puts out 2 paragraphs, no real information, and we've got some really good string on it. And we want to get it out there as soon as possible. Under our old site, we would have held our fire because we knew that the user experience was so lousy that we really would not be able to capitalize on it. So we would just save it. Oh,
We want to get the story, but we got to keep moving.
well, I'm used to long form. Sorry. So anyway, what happens is instead of holding our fire, we put it out there. We get our largest volume of page views for the month, and then 2 weeks later, we do the full follow-up, and we get to do this story where we actually get to plan the art, and it looks wonderful. yeah, and we also have fun. We're able to put comics up there, and really get to do some important work, I think. The site really shows off our artwork, so we go from doing illustrations, which play better in print, to photo, which clearly here is so much more beautiful on the site. So that's what Culture Foundry did for us, and yeah, I'm really happy. So thanks, Hans.
Thanks. Thank you. So I mentioned earlier, this is what we're about. So community is what matters. We're going to go into community right now, which is you. And really, at the end of the day, what this is about is people. What we care about is people. We don't care about your age, your sex, your East Side or Seattle inclinations. What really matters is that you're a smart, fun, innovative person here to meet more smart, fun, innovative people. You don't even have to be into tech if you're just into that, because you're going to have a good time and meet some cool people. So our unwritten guarantee is you're going to meet at least 2 quality contacts while you're here. Raise your hand if you already have. Oh, that's not enough. It's good, but it's not enough. Okay, so if you already did, you're going to meet more now. But if you haven't, this is where we ensure that happens. So what we want you to do is stand up, find 2 faces you do not know, and give them a high five and tell them your name and why you love Seattle. Do it now. Get up. Make it happen. The universal silent sound. Shh. All right, I want you to clap if you met at least one cool person. Wow, that's not good. Okay, I know this is what's going to make it better. Clap if you met 2 cool people. Okay, a little better. Really quick, come up real quick. Who knows about Pike Place Market? You ever heard of it? Ever been there? Ever shopped there? So you might have seen that there's a little bit of construction and things going on down there. So the community is helping to make really cool things happen, and we are going to be kicking off tonight, actually, raising funds to help them. Don't worry, we're not passing the hat right now. But we're going to shoot for a $5,000 hoof print by donations from people in the New Tech community over the next few months. And Patricia's going to tell you a little bit about what they're doing that's really cool. And I just want to tell you the reason we're doing this is because it's important for us to give back to the community, and a lot of what's been built in Seattle is based on what's been here for decades and what other people have done and what other people have built outside of tech. So along with supporting the tech community, it's important for us to commit to the greater community and to give back and support the great things that make Seattle culture as awesome as it is. So 30 seconds.
Okay, on this microphone?
On that microphone.
Okay, I'm Patricia. You might remember me, or you might even remember my overalls a little bit better. From April, I was here at the meeting to let you guys know that Pike Place Market is expanding. We're building a waterfront-facing side of the market right now. Why is the market so important? It's 109 years old. We are the only city in the country that saved its public marketplace throughout the last century. So we're very unique. The market is a small business incubator with over 500 small independent businesses that get started at Pike Place Market. We're also a place for farmers to sell direct to customers, and we support a low-income community in downtown Seattle. So we've got 400 units of low-income senior housing above the market and a whole network of services that serve 11,000 people in downtown Seattle every year. So with this new waterfront expansion, it's more of all of those things you love about the market, and it's the first time in 30 years that you can put your name on it. So that's why New Tech Seattle followed up with us after the April meeting and said, we want to put our name on it.
As a community.
As a community, to say New Tech was here when this expansion happened. We made it happen. You all made it possible. So there's going to be a link coming out in an email to our CrowdRise site to help build this collective hoof print for New Tech Seattle. So any donation amount is accepted, and I think together we can build the next chapter of Pike Place Market.
Thank you, Patricia. Okay, so these are out front if you want to learn a little bit more information, and we'll also have stuff going out in newsletters and on the website. This is what we call community shout out. So this is where if you have anything to share that would be good for the community, it's not about how cool you or your company are, not that you're not, because we know you are, but it's about hackathons, startup week happening, anything you think would be an interesting event to share with the community. For the next couple minutes, you can have 20 seconds if you want to stand up and share that with people. That was kind of the kickoff to that. Does anyone have anything coming up they'd like to share? Yes, sir? Cool. Thank you. And if you announce anything here, please put it on the community calendar so people can go online so they can find it more easily. Anyone else? Cool. Okay. The website is where we take this online, so if you want to connect with people beyond here, there are a lot of resources on the website for you. And on our Slack channel, you can ask for things you need help with or share things you have to share with. We have a commitment to helping in homelessness here. And if you go to the website, you can join that list, and we can tell you more about that as we do it. Who would like to see some presentations? Who's ready for some presentations? You guys don't sound that excited. Let's pretend that Messier, well, Messier wouldn't work because we don't know who he is, right? Messy. Oh, see how bad I am? Wow. She looks shocked. I'm sorry, I'm not up on my boot ball. All right, pretend like your favorite rock star walked in the room when I say, would you like to see some presentations? Okay, so we're getting there. So these are our presenters tonight, and we're going to kick it off with Prolera. Please give them a warm welcome to New Tech.
All right, and the clicker's working. All right, it's great to see a lot of great faces out here tonight. Thanks for coming. I am Evan, a co-founder and the CEO of Prolera. And we're making it simple for licensed professionals to manage, complete, and generally make the most out of their required continuing professional education, or CPE for short, that's required to keep their licenses and subsequently their jobs. And, sorry, one more, my bad. It says more than 10 million doctors, lawyers, accountants, and other licensed professionals who all have to complete some form of CPE every year. And if you ask, most of them will have a lot to tell you about how frustrating it is for them. And we launched focusing on the 750,000 licensed accountants in the US who collectively spend, surprisingly, over $850 million every year on their 40-hour requirement. And those accountants are required to complete courses that satisfy a variety of complex requirements. They have to track and verify their hours, maintain 5 years worth of course certificate records in case they're ever audited, and repeat for the 40 hours they have to complete. And managing this process is frustrating, it's time consuming, and it's complex. It's all manual. It's hard to find good courses. It's hard to validate and verify all of their compliance requirements. And fundamentally, it's really hard to fit 40 hours of anything into their increasingly busy schedules. And for them, this inevitably leads to lost billable time that's worth hundreds of dollars per hour. And for firms, they have to manage this set of problems for the tens, hundreds, or thousands of professionals that they employ. And it becomes a very big problem really fast. And they provide a lot of really great resources for their professionals, namely in the form of in-house continuing professional education training. And they want to make that available and accessible online for their staff. But existing online learning systems are not CPE compliant, they're really expensive and hard to set up, and they lack the fundamental compliance and license management features they need to ensure that their staff are actually licensed to do what they do. So this ends up being really time-consuming and inefficient for them. In fact, 1/3 of the firms we've talked to have plans to hire another full-time person this year to help them manage their CPE. And I wanted to share this quote from Clay Christensen. It's a little hard to read, but basically where he defines a disruptive innovation as one that makes a product or service available to an entirely new group of consumers, where previously it required either a lot of money, a lot of skill, or both. And in this context, we see in the industry only the very largest firms have had the resources to put together really good, comprehensive online CPE training for their professional staff. We have a big opportunity to really focus and simplify this entire process and then make it affordable for the rest of the industry. And I kind of alluded to it. We do that by simplifying everything and integrating everything and automating everything that we can. And this helps professionals and firms save time and, most importantly, make the most out of this investment that they're required to make. And so we start by making it easy to build personalized learning plans. And we like to say this is as easy as putting together a playlist of your favorite music. We can very easily match the compliance requirements they have to complete with the areas that they want to grow, allowing firms and individual professionals to be much more strategic about when and where they spend their time and money completing their CPE. And then we make it really easy to make CPE courses available online. So now firms have a turnkey way to move all of their in-house coursework online. Then we give every professional all of the resources they need to manage this really efficiently. So they can manage the learning plan, find and complete great courses, and we automatically track all of their requirements. And this is all at a glance from a simple dashboard. And then we also have this thesis that this learning should work around their busy schedules and not disrupt them. So instead of it being an hour or 2 hour long course, we break those courses into bite-sized 10-minute modules. It's not only more convenient and flexible, but research backs up that it significantly boosts information retention at the same time. And then, of course, we make it available on any device, anytime and anywhere that's convenient for them for truly just-in-time learning, which is becoming an increasingly important component to any corporate training program. And then because we've made it easy to create CPE courses that are available online, that means we can turn those same tools over to any expert professional to create and sell those courses to their colleagues across the country. And this is a particular component that we are really excited about that could completely change the landscape of continuing education. We're effectively building the first CPE knowledge base. So when a professional has a challenge when serving a client, they can find a course to help them resolve it, allowing them to earn credit for the learning that happens every day as part of their jobs. And so this helps someone like Nisha, who's a training coordinator at a large regional firm, save about $1.5 million every year in overhead, administrative, and lost productivity costs, all while providing more opportunities for her staff to grow and learn. And our business model is comprised of two components. So our online learning and compliance management software is $25 per user per month, and we also sell the courseware itself, and that'll be about $25 for a 1-hour course. So for context, a medium-sized firm would invest approximately $3,000 a month to cover their entire staff's needs. Oh, let's get that on. And we reach these firms and professionals through a combination of direct sales and inbound lead generation. And most firms are members of affiliate networks of similar firms across the country. And so our happy customers help us reach all of the other firms in their networks. And so we're at an interesting intersection between online learning systems, compliance management, and online learning marketplaces. So by integrating a very focused online learning system with the compliance management features that firms and professionals need, and then pairing that with a robust library of expert-level courses, we create an extremely valuable ecosystem for those professionals. So we're focused on accounting this year.
Boop, 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 boop,
All right,
boop.
let's wrap it up. So this is our founding team. We have a lot of experience in education, product development, sales, and marketing. And we started Prolera when our co-founder, Jason, was trying to build a better way to complete his own hours. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you, and especially if you know a professional whose life we can make a little bit better. Thanks.
Questions?
Questions? Yeah. I would say not yet. So they're similar, and for context, they are in the continuing medical education space, I think primarily targeted towards physical therapists and rehab professionals. So there are some similarities, but we don't have any immediate or long-term plans, for that matter, to go into that vertical. But there are some similarities there. That's right. Yep. For all intents and purposes, there are some nuanced differences, but for the most part, yeah. Cool. Anyone else? All right. Thank you.
Hey, Hans, can you come over here? So you grab the sheets over there. I'm going to put you to work. So I forgot one of the semi-important parts of this is the presenters present for 5 minutes with 3 minutes Q&A. Hopefully they're inspiring you with the cool things they're doing to go out and do the cool things you want to do. When they get to 1 minute, as a community, we nudge them lovingly. Hans will raise the 1, and we do this. And it means you're number 1. You have a minute left. So, so please do that. That'll help us moving forward and going quickly. Am I going backwards or forwards? Oh. Okay. Edward, are you here? Where'd you go? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa Leadership University.
Hi, thanks everybody. So many of you may be wondering what Africa is doing in the Northwest. It's not part of our geography. So I thought I'd show us a little map. So this is a map of the world, if you're not familiar. And that's where the Pacific Northwest is. And that's where Africa Leadership University is. It's about as far as you could possibly be from Seattle. But I'm here to talk about it anyway, because what Africa Leadership University is doing is very global in scope. And there's a bunch of people here in the Northwest and in the US who are helping them do it. So let's talk about what they're trying to do. They're trying to create basically the best university on the planet. And they're trying to do it in Africa. Why Africa? There's a lot of disruption possible in Africa. And it's that the existing education system here in the US is very entrenched. If you look at the top 100 universities in the United States, 99 of them are more than 100 years old. Very, very difficult to penetrate that market. And so what these guys are doing is they're going after the Africa space, where if you look at the top 100 universities in the world, 0 are in Africa. In fact, if you look at the top 1,000 in the world, 0 are in Africa. And so they're saying, hey, let's go after that market first and use it to take on the world. Let's talk about the problems they're trying to tackle. Problem number one is that Africa has an education problem. If you look at the number of graduates of university, or the number of people who attend university, it's almost 75% now in the US, but only 8% in Africa. And that problem is actually a global problem. By 2050, 40% of all people under the age of 18 are going to be living in Africa. That's the line, that's blue line, it's just going up like crazy. And so Africa problems are now going to become global problems in the future. And problem number 3 is that the US hasn't figured out education yet either. Now, if you go to university versus not going to university, or go to college versus not going to college, you make a lot more money going to college. So that says that, hey, college is great, right? Well, there's actually 3 possible reasons, why you could graduate, why university could be good. One is that it trains you. It improves your training and development. You go to university, you learn skills. Those skills are applicable in the real world. That's the story you hear. And that's how you get to a number like this. But what about if it's not that? What if it's that just talented people go to university and untalented people don't? If that was true, you would see that people who graduate university just happen to have higher IQs than people who don't. Do we actually see that? We do. People who have finished university, on average, have a higher IQ than people who don't go to university. So part of university is nothing to do with university teaching you stuff. It's the fact that smarter people graduate and people who are less just choose not to go at all. Problem number 3, it's called the sheepskin effect, where it's not about whether you graduate university or not. It's not about the skills you're learning in university. It's about that you actually get that piece of paper at the end. And that's exactly what we see as well. Almost all of the value of university comes in the last 3 months when you get that piece of paper. Let's go through fast. So they're doing a new learning model. They have a discovery process, followed by a learning platform, followed by teamwork, followed by it all coming back together at the end. The learning platform is what's really fascinating. They take the best university professors in the world and teach these kids in Africa without and then have facilitators working around it. Lots of documents about that. And then they're doing unique content. Every single student learns data processing. They all learn communication. They all learn leadership and entrepreneurial leadership. And they all learn how to do projects. And so it's a very different, unique learning model combined with this technology platform that's allowing them to teach it in an effective way. That's what I got. Thank you. So the first campus launched in Mauritius, which is off the coast of Madagascar. And the plan is eventually to have campuses across Africa and then eventually around the world. They're going to launch in the US and Asia and everywhere else.
What about the problem of kids not actually having any time or being disrupted in some way because some other person does not want them to go to school?
So you're saying the problem of them not being able to go to school at all. It's true. So one of the things that these guys have done is it's a 3-year program rather than the 4-year program, but it's far more intense. It's an internship is built into the program. So by the time you graduate, you've actually done a full year of work experience, similar to what Waterloo does in Canada. Oh, there you go. So they're actually duplicating a lot of the Waterloo model, only in Africa. But yeah, you're right. If someone can't go to school at all, they're not solving that problem. Good question. So the first class was all paid for by corporate sponsors. Turns out that a lot of companies have a talent gap in Africa, and they need help filling that talent gap. Going forward, their second class, people are paying. It turns out that what we hear in the U.S. about how well off people are in Africa, like there's definitely lots of poor people in Africa, but there are people who can afford real tuition. Tuition's much, much cheaper. They found a way to do it much lower cost by taking all the best content around the world, and instead of having Michael Porter, Porter and Christensen on campus. They beam them into campus and then combine them with like a fairly low-cost facilitators on site. And so their tuition costs, their headline cost is $10,000 a year, which is, again, significantly less than the U.S. But they try to be needs blind, and so they offer escalating bursaries for students who can't afford that. Yes, it is. So the guy who founded it actually founded a nonprofit first, but found it was very difficult to scale the nonprofit model. So this is actually a for-profit university with a nonprofit wing that accepts nonprofit donations. And it's venture-backed by the founder of eBay, who has a venture wing that effectively looks for companies that are profitable but also doing a social good. And so it's kind of this, it's like a middle model, but the construct is for profit. They will not. And in fact, they won't even have a swimming pool. I pushed really, really hard for them to have a swimming pool on site, but they're very focused on the academic side of things and not on the athletics.
How do you handle the accreditation?
So right now, they're accredited through a Scotland university. They're partnered with a university in Scotland that accredits all of the graduates. And going forward, that may change.
How do you handle the language barrier? I mean, you get curriculum from the English country and not the French country. How are you going to fix those?
So the classes are all taught in English. So the school is done in English. But they have students right now from 33 countries across Africa, including many French ones. But people have to be fluent in English in order to attend. Oh, there you go. So if you're not fluent in English, they put you through an immersion before you enter. Okay, thanks everybody.
If you have more questions, please feel free to find Edward after. Ladies and gentlemen, how many slides do you have?
68.
You're about to see 68 slides in 5 minutes. JD is going to wow you. You're going to learn. You're going to laugh. It's going to be awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Tejal.
Sir. Thanks, everybody. So the first time I gave this presentation, I actually crashed Brett's laptop, so we're hoping for better today, though. So thanks, New Tech, for hosting me. I'm going to talk a little bit about data, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Tejal, the company I work for, a data storage company, and our new technology. First, I want to talk a little bit about myself, though, because this is a community event, and so I want to get to know all of you, and I want you to get to know me. My name is J.D. Wallace. I'm a graduate of the University of Arkansas, which makes me a Razorback. I live here in Seattle, actually, according to Google Maps, right there in Lake Forest Park, just a little north of here, which, of course, makes me a Seahawks fan. I worked for Microsoft for several years, where I got to work a lot with their data, which is kind of how I got into this role. Liked it so much, I sought out a company where I could work with data every day, and Tejal was the company I found. So that's me. Now let's talk about the world. First thing you need to know about the world is their data is increasing exponentially. So an example of that is this big data mover I have here. Big, expensive piece of machinery, lots of different devices on there collecting data metrics and sending them back so we can be safely operated. It's collecting data on the rate of about 2.4 terabytes per minute. Here's another example a little closer to home. This is a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Again, latest and greatest in technology, totally connected devices all over this aircraft that are sending data back to the operator and the ground crew to make sure it's safely operated. It's generating data on a rate of about 40 terabytes per hour, and that's just one plane. This is what our airspace looks like at any given time. That's about 1,500 aircraft. So, couple more pieces of data. Every minute, we send about 204 million emails. We upload about 300 hours of video. We like about 4.2 million things on Facebook, and we send about 347 million tweets. So it's estimated by the year 2018, the world's data is going to exist somewhere around 403 zettabytes a year. That's a Z. Yes, my friends, that's a very, very large number. So at Tejal, one of the things that we do is we look at data patterns that look like this and try to make them look more like that. How do we do that? One of the ways is through something called data reduction. To talk about data reduction, I'm going to use the example of an email. So let's say I send this email, I send it to several people, and so now they're all storing a copy of it on my corporate data storage. And they all forward that email, and so now I've got several more copies, and so on and so forth. So pretty soon that email exists in many, many different places, but it's all the same email. Now with data reduction technologies, I can use compression and deduplication to essentially store one copy of that email and reference all of the others and save a ton of data on the order of 80% data reduction. So that's pretty cool. But this isn't what have you been doing your entire product lifespan Seattle, it's New Tech Seattle or New Tech Northwest. So what are some of the new things that we're working on? Well, one of the new things is dense flash storage. And to talk about dense flash, I'm going to go back to my Boeing 787. Remember that it generates about 40 terabytes of data an hour. But so if we extrapolate that out, that's around 30 petabytes a month. But don't forget about data reduction. With data reduction, I can bring that down to somewhere around 6 petabytes a month, for example. If I were to store that today all in SSD, I'd use a device that looks something like this. It stores about 2 terabytes of data, and I can get around 24 of those in a box that looks something like this. So that 6 petabytes of data that I need to store fits in about 2 racks, if you're familiar with a data center, 2 racks of storage. But with dense flash, the new technology that we have, I can store on a device that looks a little bit more like this, 8 terabytes of data today. And I can get 64 of those in a box that looks something like this. So now that 6 petabytes of data that I was going to store in 2 racks of storage is now a half a rack, so 25%. And it's not just dense, it's also very, very fast, on the order of 5 million IOPS. And we call that at Tejal IntelliFlash HD. And that is just the tip of the iceberg of some of the things that we're working on. If you'd like to learn more, you can find me on Twitter at JD Wallace. Of course, you can find more about Tejal at tejal.com. Thank you so much for your time, and let me know if you have any questions. I guess I need this, presuming you're going to ask questions. Nobody? Yes?
Well, so data compression is all about reducing entropy, and data security is about increasing entropy. How do you reconcile the two?
I think we have probably other ways that we look at security. So one of the things we do is we have self-encrypting hardware. So every block of data that's stored on one of our devices is encrypted by nature. So if you were to take one of those devices that I showed on the slides earlier and remove it from the system, it's all the data that's on there is encrypted. There's no way of getting to that. So I would say that we probably handle data security in a little bit different way, considering that we do it in hardware. It's a great question, though. I have some prizes for questions, by the way, if you want to come grab this. Or maybe I'll come to you. How about that? Nope. No, I won't. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes? Great question. You'd probably have to go back to the original marketing people who worked for Tejal when we first started. The story I've been told, and I don't know how much truth is in this versus how much marketing is put around it since, but we are technology that is very agile. Tejal. Great question. Thanks. Any others? Yes, sir.
So, when you look at data, some of the reasons for archiving or keeping data, in fact, methodologies to inspect the unstructured data change over time. Case in point, forensic pathologists, cold case experts are looking at audio recordings from 40 years ago, inspecting them with new technology and solving cases because you can inspect data, in the native form. Sure. So, as we go forward and develop new ways to go and view unstructured data, what risks are there in, compression algorithms and or, methodologies that go forward and, produce data?
Yeah, so over time, as we have this kind of cold or archive data and new technologies come about, how are we making sure that we still access that data? I think that's probably a problem that's solved at a different layer than we're trying to solve. We build solutions that are designed to last 5+ years, and at some point, we're going to make sure that we're warranting and supporting those devices through their lifespan. At some point, they're going to reach the end of their lifespan, and we're going to work with you to refresh them with new technology, bring in the latest technology. So I would kind of say that while your point is very valid, it's probably solved at a different level than what we're trying to do, if that's fair. Okay.
One more question.
One more? Anybody? Yes, sir. It is software that because of, so it is a software solution, but if we were to make the software solution available to work on any commodity hardware, the hardware certification would be kind of difficult to manage. So while it's a software solution, we are very prescriptive about the hardware that it runs on, and we actually deliver that hardware. So we control that today. There was another part of your question. No. It sounds like it's coupled with that. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, sir. Thanks, Brett.
Thank you, JD. We have two more presenters. Our final presenter will be Amazon, and our next presenter is Sonos. Who has a Sonos device at home? Who wishes they had a Sonos device at home? You're going to have... you going to throw some things out?
15-pound play 5 of you. All right, thanks everyone. So I was going to ask, who here actually knows what Sonos is? Who here knew that Sonos has an office in Seattle? All right, we're partway there. So let's see. I want to tell you guys just a little bit about Sonos, about the company, and also about the stuff we do and how we do it. So we tend to think of ourselves as a music company first and foremost. If you walk into a Sonos office, I guarantee you will hear music blaring out loud. You'll hear a bunch of people talking about music. You'll see people who are wearing their band T-shirts or something like that. Or a Starfleet communicator T-shirt. That's pretty cool, Frank. And generally speaking, we are a company of music lovers, and everything we do is kind of informed by our love of music and by the role that music plays in people's lives. Our mission, and this is a mission we take super seriously, is to fill homes with music, and in particular to fill homes with music out loud. If you think of, music is this amazing thing that's been around since the dawn of human beings, and in some ways is kind of the original kind of social experience, right? Music was always something that you listened to out loud with people around you, and 10 years ago something super bizarre happened where everyone started listening to music with these little white things in your ears, and with that sort of disappeared a little bit of an element of this sort of community side of listening to music, which is really, which really only happens when you're listening to music out loud. So I'm sure all of you have all these memories associated with people that have some kind of music connection to them. I ran into someone, Kirk, I told you I was going to call you out. Ran into Kirk here as I was, when we walked in. Kirk and I go back to the damn late 80s. But we used to work in the same place, and one of my automatic memories of Kirk seeing him is having him blaring The Damned in his office 2 doors down for hours and hours and hours all day long as I tried to work. And that's just one of those connections around music that, and that's what music is. And we, believe incredibly strongly that music kind of creates this whole side to your life and this element to your life that's really, really important. So we talk about music making a house a home. Things like that. And we really, really believe strongly in that. So ultimately, while we're a tech company, a music company, we really exist to fill homes with music. There's there's an obvious question around here. It's not all, if you were doing this, one way you could do it is you could get into the business of building, CD players or tube amps or whatever kind of geeky, hard, sort of audiophile stuff you do. We want to be more progressive than that, so we tend to focus on people that we call or think of as modern music lovers, and these are really people who are sort of at the leading edge of consuming music. And that's something that's actually changed over the years, right? We used to so Sonos has been around for a while, so we used to think of modern music lovers, for example, as the people who had ripped their collection of 400 CDs to their hard disk. That was the modern sort of bleeding edge way of listening to music. And then it was people who downloaded thousands and thousands and thousands of tracks illegally from Napster or something like that. And then it was the people who bought hundreds of tracks, 99 cents at a time, from iTunes or something like that. These days, when we think of modern music lovers, we think of people who use paid streaming services, right? So in particular, if you think of like Spotify and Apple Music and those guys, that is an incredible phenomenon going on right now, where these guys are adding, between just those two, just between Apple Music and Spotify, these guys are adding probably 3-4 million paid customers a month to their service. And it's an incredible way to consume music. You have access to 30, 40 million tracks, basically all the music on earth for $10 a month. And it's a pretty amazing way to listen. So we tend to think of that as our audience these days. This is what we make. So we basically make, essentially, think of it as 3 different lines of products. We make things we call all-in-ones, which are speakers that are meant to be, just put around in your house on bookshelves and things like that, or bookcases and things like that. We make home theater products. So we make a thing called a play bar, which is that long, skinny thing, and a subwoofer. And then we make things that we call components, which are just meant to be, plugged into sort of existing stereo equipment. And the way these things work, and the magic of Sonos, if you want, and the thing that's kind of unique to what we do, is that these speakers and these, are you kidding me? Oh my God. Well, yeah, all right, you're gonna have to give me an extra 2 minutes. I told you I would do this. So these, basically these speakers have built into them, they all have little computers built into them. The magic of them is really all encoded in the software that lives on these things. They have, Wi-Fi parts built into them. They know how to stream music directly from the internet themselves. You're not streaming it through your phone or anything like that. You use your phone to control the speaker and tell it what to do. But they all talk to each other on this mesh network that we create. And it lets you do all sorts of super interesting things. So you could scatter these things around your house, make them all play in sync, make them set them up as a home theater 5.1 system or anything like that, set a pair up as a stereo pair. And all of it is just magic, software magic. They're built around, God, I'm gonna run out of time. Boop, 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 boop. All right, let me jump over this stuff. Basically, we have 3 product strategies that really drive what we do. The first one is to give you access to all the music on Earth. We support 85 different streaming services, which is a pretty amazing number. Then we have another one that's really about giving you control of your Sonos system, whichever we want. We build controller apps for just about every popular platform, minus Windows Phone. I knew I was going to have to say that here. And then we're looking at things like speech and so all sorts of stuff like that. And then let me get through the last one. The last thing is something we call Sonos Sound. It's all awesome to have this kind of technology, but if the end result is a speaker that sounds like crap or that looks like crap and you don't want to have it in your house, it's kind of pointless. So we put a huge amount of energy into just the quality of what we build, both in terms of the audio and in terms of the industrial design. So this thing is our latest sort of high, it's our high-end Play 5. My model Frank is holding it right here. It has 6 custom designed transducers and it's 6 digital amps. It weighs 15 pounds. It's an amazing thing. I encourage you to go look at it and look at the detail around the industrial design of this thing. This is us. So Sonos sort of grew up in Boston and in Santa Barbara. And we opened an office in Seattle about a year ago. So we're up on Capitol Hill. We've been here, like I said, about a year. We have about 40 people now. We do mostly software stuff, but a little bit of everything else. And then we also have some offices in China where we do all of our hardware not design, but all of our hardware manufacturing stuff. And that's it. We sell, next year we'll sell about $1 billion worth of these things. We are in somewhere between 4 and 5 million homes. We have over 10 million customers. So we're kind of a real business. And that's it, done. Someone had a hand up. Yeah. Most of the vast majority, probably, let's see, about 70% of our sales are direct. Yeah. Well, you should clarify what you mean by direct. I mean direct as in you go to the Sonos.com website. So we sell. So the 70%, 30% of our sales are through actual sort of resellers like the home automation guys, and if you go to Definitive Audio or something like that, they literally resell our stuff. Then if you take the rest of it, that's essentially retail. Of that, probably 40% of it is actually sold directly from our website, and the rest will be Amazon, Best Buy, those kinds of guys. Yes? Do you see Amazon Echo as a sort of. I mean, what they're doing is really kind of cool and interesting. Ultimately, they're focused on something different, right? It is, when they announced the thing, we sort of went, oh, holy crap, it's a speaker that does voice recognition. But the way to think of the thing is, and the way they think of it is it's really a voice recognition system that kind of happens to have a speaker in it. And it's not a diss on them. I mean, we're actually spending a bunch of time talking with them. It's really interesting what they're doing. And they do have they do view music as a first-class scenario, but they're very focused on the sort of smart assistant, voice-based smart assistant thing, which is kind of different than what we're doing. So in a way, to me, we're actually sort of, we compete a little bit in the sense that, you know, at Christmas time, if you go to Amazon.com to buy a $100 and something gadget, you might buy a Sonos Play 1, you might buy an Echo, and it's an interesting question to ask yourself. But in terms of, you know, these things should actually work together really well, which would be a really interesting thing to think about. Yeah?
Similar question. So I've used Sonos as a premier product at a premier price point. I feel like there's some competitors that are coming along that are saying we can commoditize speakers. I'm thinking specifically of Google and their cast devices, which
Yep.
take any dumb speaker and plug it into the $30 price, and now you have a Sonos-like experience. How would you continue to compete with those products as you view them as competitors, given your kind of premium position?
Well, look, it's I mean, they are competitors in the sense that you know, they are increasingly trying to do this, you know, more and more the kinds of things that we've been doing. To me, the way you know, I don't think of this so much as at some point, like there is, you know, you're not going to make a great sounding speaker for $89. You just can't, right? There's physics involved in this, and you know, there's materials involved in doing this kind of stuff. So there is a question about, like, look, how good you want the sound quality associated with your brand to be, and we want, you know, again, to our sort of strategy about being all about sound, we want great sound quality. So we're probably not going to go down and build, you know, $75 speakers or anything like that. The other thing is, we've been doing this for 14 years now. And I will tell you that this is a really hard problem to solve well, sort of surprisingly hard. I've been at Sonos for about 2 years, and that was certainly one of my sort of early lessons at Sonos, is like, my God, this stuff is hard. And it's hard to do well. And, you know, to me, I feel like we got like a 10-year lead on these guys. And there's a lot of areas where they have a lot of catching up to do. But, you know, look, you take companies like Google and Amazon and all those guys, you got to take them seriously, right? So it's not like we don't ignore them at all.
Thank you.
All right? Thanks so much.
And our final presenter of the evening is Amazon App Store.
Page down. There we go. Slides. All right. Thanks, Brett. Good evening. My name is Trenton Lipscomb. I'm a software developer at Amazon. If you saw the billing, it might have said Mechanical Turk API for Human Intelligence. Sorry. I recently switched teams and I wasn't able to pull slides together, but I'm happy to talk about that at length in the after party or, in the after party. But tonight, it's my last team I was on. Recently switched teams about a month ago. It's all about App Store and developer experience. Basically, Amazon has a mission to be the most customer-centric company in the entire world. The App Store developer experience really kind of adds a lot more words around that to put it in context of what it means to be a developer for any of for any apps, or when we're extending it out to Echo and other items. And I kind of think of it just more simply as developers are our customers. We work in areas like App Store Underground, Amazon Underground, Amazon Merch. See the Echo, you see AVS, Alexa Voice Service, and App Store there. I just want to zero in just on one thing we kind of did for our App Store developers, helping them to build a high-quality experience. The question we're really faced with, our developers are coming in and saying, like, yeah, we want to develop for the App Store, but we don't have devices, and we don't have the Fire TV that you came up with, and you guys aren't the #1 App Store. You got to make it easy for us. So what we built was the app testing service. Really allows developers to make sure that their app is going to work well in our ecosystem and for the customers that they can reach through the App Store. So basically, you just have to upload an APK, and what we can do is load the APK, run it in a virtual environment. We can capture screenshots, pull some statistics there of the different stages, how long each stage took. We can hook in to the actual views that are generated and cause different events to happen. And you probably wonder how that's all possible. And I can go into that in detail here.
Just a bunch of chimpanzees banging on keyboards. No, we tried that technique. There's actually a lot more to it. We actually had to figure out there's some structure to it. We actually had to basically build a navigation tree. Otherwise, things were caught in loops. It didn't make sense to just randomly click all over the place. It just didn't work. So that was our first generation. Then we started, games started getting bigger. Here, there's no kind of structure you can hook into. It's just a OpenGL rendered, plane. And again, we tried the monkeys on keyboards, did not work. So we switched and we got smart. We used computer vision. So basically, the computer vision approach, the idea is the same. You still have to build a tree of navigation, but how do you know what to click on, right? You can see what to click on. Like, it's pretty clear. There's big white circles, and there's, high contrast, right? It's clear to you, but how do you make it clear to a computer? I can't tell you the algorithms used, but they're really kind of standard edge detection. And if you search through OpenCV, you'll find how to do this kind of stuff. Here's the pictures of the output, though. Basically, we tried different channels of different kind of contrast, trying to see what appeals to the human eye rather than just kind of high-low in terms of values. Kind of go through different transformations, and you end up kind of being able to combine a couple of these. And things will get to a point where then you can kind of close the different points of contrast, and you can basically now see, well, the computer really knows what to click on. You can draw some boxes around it, and it's now pretty much the same problem as before. So we're now able to take a game that you give us and run it through the same kind of testing and evaluation, and grab screenshots, make sure it's going to launch on all the different kinds of devices that we have. So just to wrap it up, what we do is, we're really trying to think about what makes our developers successful. We're going to put a lot of effort, into doing things that developers wouldn't have the time or the energy to do, and then make it available for anyone to use. And lastly, I encourage everyone to try the app testing service. There's a URL up there for it. Thanks. Take some questions, please.
So testing navigation is really an interesting problem, especially on UIs. So when you talk about UI navigation trees, does timing play into it? Because there are certain scenarios in testing where timing is a very big issue, especially when you're talking about games, for example.
Yeah, so the question is about when we build out our tree of navigation, do we wait certain amounts of time to click on something or click back?
If you do that, does that basically explode your tree?
We definitely have faced problems when we don't consider that. As you can imagine, certain timing of getting a game to start, I can't really reveal whether or not we're allowing that to happen, but you can imagine the kinds of problems that would happen if you didn't. So
Okay.
It's a great idea. The PR guys really gutted the good meat of it. But we're hiring, and if you would love to talk to you a lot more about your ideas to make our detection algorithms better. Any other questions? Yeah, please. The crazy bubbles with the trees. Yeah, it looks like one's completely all glassed in. Got another one. This is a question about our new headquarters down, basically 6th and Blanchard area. Yeah, they look fantastic. Sorry. Any other questions? All right, well, I'll be over at the after party talking about Mechanical Turk App Store. We have some App Store people over here if you want to learn more about App Store from them. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Trent. So thank you for hanging in there. We started a little bit late. We're hoping some people could make it through the traffic. Our next event here will be for New Tech Seattle will be on July 12th. And tomorrow we are launching New Tech Improv. So really quickly what this is it's kind of a rising trend around the country, but a lot of companies have been hiring improv directors to come in and train their teams, because the bottom line is what improv does is it helps you be more confident in who you are. It helps you to learn better, and it helps you in a professional sense. It allows you to have better communication and get further in your job. So whether you have to give presentations and you're not really sure how to do that really well, or just even sitting in interviews with people, there's skills that are basic that help your job, but even more importantly, you laugh your ass off and you have fun with more people. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, we're going to start doing that tomorrow night once a month. And if you have any questions or any feedback, or you'd like to learn more about presenting or sponsoring or anything else, please feel free to shoot me an email. If you would like to connect with more of the people here, there's an after party across the street at Temple Billiards. Did you have a good time tonight? Cool. Thank you all for coming out between the sun actually being here and the whole messy situation next door with the Sounders. Really appreciate you guys braving the traffic in the parking. What's that, Brian? The event next week, East Side. Yes, so New Tech East Side in Bellevue is happening a week from tonight. If you want to head to Bellevue, or you know people who are down there and want to connect with us more. So thank you so much for coming out. We hope to see you next month. Thank you for hanging in there tonight. Good night.